What's up, Nitro Nation? Meanwhile, back at the cave, you know how they say that? Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Anyway, welcome all newbies, middies, and oldies but goodies. Old farts like me. Back in the Nitro Cave. Well, we just got done with about, I don't know, I'd say about a good 6 inches of rain this week. It's supposed to be clear the rest of the week, but you know, you never know with the weather. This is Southern California where I live anyway. We say if you don't like the weather, just stick around a minute because it'll change. But so it's about time within the next couple days, more than likely this weekend, for the Muggy Maniac to get running. I know my last video I said the next video you see with me having some running footage, but you know, that was a few days ago. I just kind of wanted to update you guys on kind of what's going on. And you know, when the Muggy Maniac's in the Nitro Cave, it's not all of the time just wrenching or you know, going over my vehicles. I mean, there's a lot more, and I kind of want to give you guys an insight of how the mind works of the Muggy Maniac, okay? A lot of my I should say preparation for the decisions, financial decisions that I make in 8 Scale Nitro are based on doing your homework. What does that mean? That means it could be, you know, if you're gonna, you know, make some changes, you know, do the homework to make sure that, you know, hey, this is the change that I need to do. Or a lot of times, you know, before I spend money, before I'm going to put out any cash, man, I do my homework. I'm not gonna buy something or get something if I really don't need it, or if it's not going to be anything that's going to be a game changer. Because I'm looking at the stage that I'm in 8 Scale Nitro, is I'm looking to do, make moves that are game changers. Looking to up my game, to up my level, whatever you want to call it, okay? But you got to do your homework, okay? Because there is a grading system that I call it, or in Nitro. And what I mean by that is your grade, as far as the end result of what you do, and you know, which is running your vehicle, bashing your vehicle. Those of you that race, I'm not much into racing right now. If you're more into racing than anything, you might want to tune into Raja 111. He does bash, but he does more of the racing type thing. So, or I suggest also Adam Drake. Adam Drake obviously is a legend pro racer. He's always doing videos on his setups. He's always sharing, you know, what works for him. I know he's a Mugen guy, but like I said before, a lot of his stuff's universal. Whether it's 8 Scale Nitro, Buggy, Truggy, even E-Word. I mean, that's something that he does too. And that comes with the territory of being, you know, a pro and being sponsored by all these huge, you know, corporates. But I know he does his homework. I remember I watched a video, it was for some race coming up, and they were having an interview with him, and they were saying that he knows for a fact, because obviously he's been doing it longer than anybody that are out there right now, but he said he knows for a fact that there is nobody, and I'm quoting what he said, nobody that comes more prepared to a race than him. I mean, not to toot his own horn, but he's just keeping it real. He prepares more than anybody, and I agree, because he's a legend, man. The guy didn't get to where he is or become a household name because he didn't do his homework, and he knows his grade is going to be how he finishes, you know, how he performs on the track. And your grade should be, as in bashing, how your platform or your vehicle performs. Is your vehicle performing to what you're expecting, or you know, to what it's supposed to? Is your motor running? Is your, you know, your whole you know, vehicle performing the way it should, or are you having issues, or are you having problems, or things falling apart, or things, whatever? That all stems from you doing your homework, you doing your research, you studying and preparing to bash your vehicle. So when I'm going out to you know, to do some bashing, you know, and as for me, finish breaking in my, you know, my modified motors, You know, I got to look, okay, how was my last run? How did it go? Okay, with the Pico, I know everything went well. The Tekno, everything went well. Suspension is dialed in. Steering, I messed with a little bit because I wanted, you know, it's so, this thing's, man, these Teknos, Truggies, man, they have almost too much steering. This thing, like I said before many times, it handles like a buggy. So I had to kind of pull back on the steering and make it so it doesn't oversteer. Because a lot of times because it steers so sharp, you know, it'll flip real easy because, you know, I've got a modified motor and these Badlands I'm hooking up, you know. Or on my braking, you know, I'm learning to get used to my brakes and how to adjust them, because this thing will stop on a dime and give you nickel back. This has one of the best brake systems, hands down, that I've ever seen on any of my vehicles, okay? Not that any other vehicles don't have good brakes, but I'm telling you, man, these Teknos, the way they're designed, man, these things are like, man, you know how many front flips I've done from barely just touching the brakes? No problem with lack of brakes on this thing. So anyway, you know, I'm preparing to do my bashing, so, you know, the only thing that I really want to work on this is just running more fuel through it, and maybe get the motor is pretty much dialed in, but I want it, it's not right where I want it. It's good enough, but, you know, for me, Muggy Maniac, good enough doesn't cut it, man. I want this thing. Everything that I base as far as motor-wise, I go off the Novorossi 28.8 Rex Legend, because that motor is the easiest to tune. It stays in tune. You don't really got to fiddle around with it whenever you get out there and run, man. That's why I plug that motor all the time. I love it, man. Matter of fact, you're going to see how much I love it in just a minute, because I'm going to explain where I am as far as motors and mods, because I got some motors that are going to be getting modded. The Muggy Maniac's about ready to drop some huge coin. So if I'm going to spend a lot of money, I got to ask myself, okay, are these things that I need, or are these things, you know, because I'm not the guy that's going to spend a bunch of money and have my shit sit around. You know, that isn't a good investment to me. I want to get the most out of my money. You know, I want to get stuff that I know that I'm not just, you know, and I'm not saying that you don't want to have stuff and spares and stuff like that. Sure, I mean, because that's a big expense in 8-scale nitro. For those of you guys that are new, and those of you guys that aren't new, you already know. But it doesn't have to be real expensive, you know, but I'm at the point now to where, you know, I've already done the trial and error things on a lot of stuff. So I know what works, what doesn't work, what I've tried before. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, you know, I tend to stick with a lot of things, and you know, I still try new things, and I'm still experimenting, and that's what this is about. Because the bottom line of no matter who tells you what, the bottom line is you have to learn by your own experience. Okay, you have to learn by screwing it up, by making a bad decision and finding out why that didn't work. Okay, and doing your homework again and doing your research and say, okay, what can I do to make that better? Or what can I do to fix that problem so that shit don't happen no more? Or you can be like some guys that keep, you know, beating yourself up. You know, there's a saying that I'm sure plenty of you guys have heard. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay, you're crazy. You know, you're not going to get it. You're going to get the same result. It's just you want to continue to punish yourself or continue to go through the same bullshit, or you're going to say, okay, you know what, that didn't work. Well, let me try something different. Or, you know, when it does work, that worked, okay, let me stick with that. It's like, you know, I love to cook, okay, making a, you know, say you're making a cake or whatever you're making, when it comes out like perfect, it tastes good, man, everything, why in the hell would you change it? That's idiocracy. That means that's just retarded. I don't know how a better way to put it, you know. You don't change the ingredients once it comes out the way the way you want it, or you know, the right way. Just stay with the ingredients and continue to do that. So you're always making adjustments, obviously. And first of all, shout out to Raja 111. Seems like that's the only shout out I'm giving, although there is another shout out. But Raja 111 just uploaded a video on tire gluing. I've done plenty of tire gluing, especially lately, Badlands, you know, and he has a lot of good information. I do agree, you know, and even me, I've done enough of them, but I'm not the pro gluer. I can't use the thin glue. I tried that, and man, these were the first set of Badlands that I mounted on these DE racing rims, and I almost messed up because I used the wrong glue. I thought thick glue was the medium glue. It's not. So you don't want to use the thin, you don't want to use the thick, and then you don't want to use the medium. I mean, you don't want to use the thin. You don't want to use thin, and you don't want to use the thin stuff or the stuff which dries too quick, or the thick stuff which takes forever. Okay, you want to use the medium because it doesn't dry too quick, but it doesn't take forever. And that way, if there's any adjustments you need to make, it doesn't glue instantly right away, and then you're screwed. What I like to do is because I have a spare spindles, hub spindles, and I have one with bearings in it. And what I do before, even after I put the tires on, before I glue them or rubber band them, I take it and I spin it around on it, and you can see whether the tire is semi-aligned. If it wobbles too much, then you can make your little adjustments. And once I get it to where I spin the tire on my spindle, and it's, you know, about as even as it's going to get spinning, then that's when I put the rubber bands on, and I know that's where it's aligned. Because a lot of times, if you don't do that, even if you try to put it on here straight and line it up with the rim, it still might be it might be a little bit off, or the liner might have got tucked a certain way. And the only way you can tell that is by spinning the tire on something, and that's what they got balancers for. I mean, I might invest in one of those. That's another level of tire gluing. As far as when you're bashing, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I will tell you that if your tires are all wobbly and shit, once you glue them and you run them like that, you're going to jack up a lot of stuff, man. People don't realize that when your tires are out, it's like a real car. When the tires are out of alignment, excuse my language, you're fucking up your suspension, your drivetrain, you know, everything. So you want to have those tires before you actually set them and glue them as balanced as you can. Okay, so that's just another tip that I wanted to throw in there. That's what I do, you know. And so most people have extra. If you don't, I mean, these are what I'm talking about. I have extra spindles like this without the shaft on it, and I'll put the tire on there, tighten it down, and I'll be able to hold it on my hand and spin it freely, and I can see if the tire's, you know, pretty much aligned before I glue it. That's just something that I do. So anyway, so again, do your homework. You know, there's a lot of things that go into everything in your vehicles. You know, So like I said, I'm about ready to spend money, but I'm like, okay, well, what's my priority? You know, I know I'm getting, you know, I've got servos coming. I've got biggest thing probably for me right now is pipes. Okay, I have a few pipes, but I don't have the ones that everybody that you need to have, especially for modified motors, because the modified motors changes everything, and the pipes again change everything. So, you know, obviously most people are familiar with the 086 pipe. Most people are familiar with, you know, the 9886 Super Strong Novarossi. Most people are familiar with the 9901. I mean, there's a lot of different pipes. But for modded motors, I should say the three biggest pipes, I found a fourth one now, which I'm going to share with you in a minute, that you want to have. The three biggest pipes are the 086, which I finally found one, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to pay $200 for it because it has a motor attached that comes with it. It's a brand new motor, but it's a .21, which I'm not real excited about. It's going to get modified, no doubt about that. But I want that dynamite pipe, and they don't make them, unfortunately, thanks to Horizon, you know, discontinuing them because they own Dynamite, which is the ones that made it. You know, those pipes have been, for me, in the almost 4 years that I've been in Nitro now, the unicorn. You hear about it, and you've seen pictures of it and everything, but you have never seen one personally, which is me. So I found one. It has a motor. I really don't want to spend the $200 on the motor because it's a .21. But it's a good .21, which I'll share with you guys when the time comes. But more importantly, it's the 086 pipe is what I want. The other pipe obviously is a 9986, and then the end bleed. Now everybody's into the, end bleed, and I know when John breaks the news, and the whole thing is because Robin at Extreme Mods isn't going to do those end bleeds forever. I am going to get one. But I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. I don't have a 9986 and I don't have an 086 Dynamite. So I'm not too worried about getting one of those end bleeds. And they are $130, so they're not cheap. But do yourself a favor. Don't get one of those things. If you haven't even run the 9986 or the 086, you need to experience all of it. I think what's happening too much, not just in 8-scale nitro, but even in Fitscale, because I follow Fitscale, and I have a lot of Fitscale brothers, out there. So I know what's going on in Fitscale. I do a lot of Fitscale research because that's something that I will get into later. And I want, when I get into Fitscale and finally make that jump, I want to do my homework and my studying and all that like I do on Nitro to prepare me so when I get into Fitscale, I'm not trying to figure out shit. And it's a lot more expensive when you jack shit up, when you do things wrong in Fitscale. It's nothing like, instead of a $100 mistake on Nitro, you're talking $500 mistake on a Fitscale. So, but the problem that I see is people just jumping. They're not experiencing the whole thing. They're just going right to, let me get a modified motor and an end bleed. And they've never ran an 86 pipe. They've never experienced other, motors, or they've never even got into modding motors. They're, like you're going to get a stock motor, and put an end bleed on it, and wow, you're going to experience something phenomenal. Sure, it's going to change the performance in your motor, but it's compared to what a modified does with an end bleed, man, it ain't even the same. It's not even in the same book, let alone the same page. So all I'm saying is, I'm not trying to say don't get that experience, but slow down, man. Don't put the cart in front of the horse. I've done it plenty of times too. I need to, like I said, that's what made me really become a student of 8-scale Nitro. To make sure when I came to being graded, so to speak, which is, like I said, running my vehicles and doing my bashing or whatever, I know my shit's gonna run smooth. I know my shit, I'm gonna have very little issues. I'm not gonna be breaking shit, carburetors falling off and stuff like that, or blowing up motors. I've done that before. I've only done one, and that's, knock on wood, will be the only one that I ever do. And I learned the hard way. You know what I'm saying? So all the Muggy Maniac is saying is do your homework, man. Study, research, ask. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. I always tell guys, if you have anything, ask me. I won't never, steer you wrong. If I can't give you the right answer, I'll make sure that I refer you to somebody like a Raja 111, like an Elite RC, like a John Bodegel. Most of you guys, like I said, you just go by what John says, and that's law. And I'm not taking nothing away from John. John Bodegel has a lot of experience in this too, but an 8-scale Nitro, he doesn't have a lot more experience than I do. I personally think that he should have done a little bit more Nitro at the level he was getting at, or he got to, before he went into Fitscale. But who am I to tell John what to do? John just is the guy that likes to do everything, man. He likes to put a lot of stuff on his plate, even though he ain't eating it all at once. He still wants to put it on his plate because that's him. And to each his own. That works for John. I would have liked to see John do more of the level that he was at before he went into Fitscale, especially for guys like me. That's what I'm trying to do is learn from what I learned from him and other people and pros like Adam Drake and take it to even another level. There's a lot of different levels in Nitro. I'm not the one that makes the levels. All I'm saying is there's a lot more than where actually even John got. And I want to experience not only that, but I want to take it to a different level. I want to be able to teach people and show people by experience what works, what doesn't work, even though you're going to have to experience it yourself. Just because of what I say doesn't mean that's the way you do it. Ask a bunch of other people. Get all the opinions you can. I'm just one of the doctors in this, so to speak. Okay, so another shout out to Don Foss, which one of my Nitro brothers that gave me some names, because I'm going to get into talking about the research and the homework that I've been doing over the last few months, and even more this last couple weeks on mods, on engine mods, modifications and stuff like that. There's so much. When you get to the modification level, it's not just getting a motor modded and throwing it in whatever. Man, you need to throw it in something decent. You can't just be throwing it in platforms that are weak, like Traxxas. That's why I always tell you guys, man, and to each his own. You experience it yourself. Put a modified motor in a Traxxas and, you know, see what happens. I already know what's going to happen, you know. So that's why, you know, in any weak platform, put it in an HPI Savage modified motor. Sure, it's going to perform. It's different because it's got the 2-speed. You're not even experiencing a sealed motor because you got to run either the rotor or the pull start bullshit. I see so many Savages and so many pull starts and rotor starts. Personally, I would never get a modified motor on a rotary start or a pull start. You're missing about 4,000 RPMs. So basically, you're doing your motor, that motor, a disservice to what it can really do and how it can really perform at a whole nother level than what you're ever going to experience because of not having a sealed. And you can ask John about that. I learned that from John. Modified motor with a pull start or a back plate on it, or with a rotor start, is not even close to a modified motor with a sealed back plate, which means you're using a bump start. So don't just take my word. You can ask John. You can watch his videos. I mean, he went through all that too. I learned, and I thank God for John doing all the trial and error and learning from him what not to do, so I didn't have to go through that. I still experienced a lot of other things, but I eliminated the whole pull start. I had one pull start in my 4 years of Nitro, and that's the motor that was in the XTM Mammoth that I blew up. Okay? And that was it. That was enough for me. One motor that blows up, pull starts breaking on left and right. I didn't have to go, let me try a rotary start. Maybe that might be better. John, I was like, you know, talking to John. I still remember him telling me, man, you got to get a sealed motor, get a bump box. That was the first thing he told me, because when I came into Nitro is where John was. I missed all that. Even though I've watched all the videos, I missed all him learning, you know, that pull starts and rotor starts and Traxxas, and they're all bullshit, because he put modified motors with rotor starts and with pull starts, or with rotor starts, I should say, on shitty platforms like Traxxas. He did all that. And I've had people say, well, John, when he started out, he had a JATO. Okay, does that mean he condones it and says JATOs are cool? If you're a newbie, get a JATO? Hell no, you'll never hear him say that. He don't even talk about Traxxas anymore, except for, man, he's glad he's not using them, and he knows he learned from that. You know, and then obviously he went into his low C 4.0 buggy and truggy. So I came in at that point. I came in at where John was just getting started with that level of no more pull starts, no more rotor starts, no more shitty platforms. Quality platform, sealed motor, bump start, bump box, modified, and so forth. And that's where I kind of came in, and then I started learning all this stuff. And like I said, I'm trying to go to a whole nother level that I don't think really John did. And am I there yet? No. I mean, it takes time. You know, I've only been into mods not even a year yet. You know, that's why I'm not in any hurry to get into fit scale. I want to at least, like I said, my goal by the end of this year is to have 12 modified, badass, not just any motor. I'm not modifying no JATO. I'm not modifying, you know, no bullshit. I'm talking, or JATO. Modifying no 3.3 Traxxas bullshit. I'm talking Italian. I'm talking, you know, top of the line, modified quality motors. 12 of them. Okay? By the end of this year, that's my goal. And I will hit that goal. And I will be able to tell you, as I go through that and show you and explain to you what works with modded motors and these different motors, and the pipes that are good, and the pipes you want to use for this, and the pipes you want to use for truggies, the pipes you want to use for buggies. There probably won't be a lot of monster trucking, and I came to the decision that I won't get a Savage. And at the time, I wanted to get a Savage because, you know, a lot of people say it's one of the platforms you want to have in your collection. Well, it's a pull start and it's a rotor start. I don't really need to have one of those in my collection, and I really don't care to. The biggest monster truck, so to speak, that I'll ever have is my XTM Muggy, okay? And I might get an actual Losi Muggy. I have my eye on one, and I know I'm not a Losi guy, and I never will be a Losi guy, but it is one of the iconic, you know, platforms. You know, John loves his Muggy. I know a couple guys that have them. You know, I probably won't even run it. I'll just have it just to say I have it because I know it's part of Nitro history, you know. But as far as, you know, monster truck savages and all that, pull starts or motor starts, no, I'm good. I'm not doing this to go backwards. It's going to be weird enough for me when I go into Fisthill to have the pull start shit. But anyway, so Don Foss mentioned modifieds. Now, I have got my motors, as you guys know, are modded through RB Mods. Rick does good work, but I'm looking to experiment. There's other companies out there that do mods. Not just Rick's not the only one. Now, I found four big ones, good ones, or whatever you want to call them, but only 2 of them you can contact, and one of them is Rick. So that leaves out the other 3, and only one of those 3 actually you can call them and talk to them. Now, Extreme RCs, they're cool and they do mods, but the only thing I'm probably going to go through them is an end bleed. If I can't talk to somebody before I give them $500 or $600 of my money and my motors, then I'm not. It's the only reason I really went to Rick, because I was able to talk to him firsthand and tell him what I wanted, and he was able to kind of coach me on, you know, okay, this is what I do, what are you looking for, blah, blah, blah. And I can call Rick at any time. I want that type of relationship, and why shouldn't you, with the guy that's building your motors? Somebody that I can trust, you know, because I can talk to him at any time I have an issue or have a question. Hey, what plug should I run, you know, for this motor? Now that it's broken in, should I take a shim out? I mean, Rick does all that. So anyway, there's 4 of them. One of them, obviously, RB Mods. Rick is one of them. The other one is Extreme, which is, you know, the ones where everybody's getting the end bleeds. And Murnin, M-U-R-N-I-N. You guys can look these up. And RC Renew. Now, obviously, I can't talk to Robin, because I can't call out it because it's in Canada. So I'm not emailing people. I don't got time for all that shit. Merlin, same thing. I don't have a number until I find one. I'm not doing anything with them. Now, RC Renew. I called RC Renew. They've been around. They used to actually be where my parents live, out in Corona, Riverside, which is about 30 minutes from me. They're back east now because they have an area code that I was familiar with. And I asked the guy, why is your area code? Oh, because we used to be over here and now we're back east. So anyway, I talked to this guy for an hour. I think his name is Darren. This guy that does the mods, he worked. So I'm about to give you guys some information that some of you guys might know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't. And this is what I'm talking about, doing your homework and doing your research, because these are things that I want to know. And I think these things, for me anyway, are important to the decisions that I make on my motors getting modded. Okay? If you want to just send your motor to whoever because you heard this guy does good work, okay, well, go ahead and do that. I want to talk to the person, and I want to know what they're going to do and what their process is. I want to know what their background is. If you're the guy building motors, how much experience do you have building my motors? Because one of them, I think it was Mernon, their big thing was they do, all I see on their website was a lot of .21s. Now, a good sign of somebody modding motors is when they carry the motors that you want to get modded, which means they specialize in Novarasis, Picos, LRPs, Reds, and so forth. If those are the motors that you want to get modded, well, it only I read the short bus of school, but 2 and 2 is 4. That only makes sense to send to the guy that has experience of doing those type of motors for many years. Okay, that's a gimme right there. So anyway, I'm talking to this guy for an hour, and he's really cool, and he worked for Pico, and this guy doesn't just mod motors and has experience. This guy worked for Pico, and his job was to design the blocks, to design the motor that Picos sell. So he is a graphic designer and motor maker. And it was cool because the guy goes, well, you have a lot of questions. I go, hey, well, the only dumb one is the one you don't ask. So anyway, this guy was telling me of all these motor manufacturing. You know, out of all the motors, Nova Rossi, OS, Pico, Reds, LRP, and so forth, only 2 of them make their own motors. The rest of them are made by the others. So let me let you in on this. LRP motors are OS motors. This LRP .32 is made by OS. So OS is one of the companies that makes motors. What's the other company that makes their own motors? Nova Rossi. Okay? So Nova Rossi, OS, and the last one is Pico. Pico makes their own motors. So that means if those are the only 3 companies making the motors, actual motor, then what does that tell you? Hello? Yeah, obviously all the other manufacturers come to them to get their blocks, their motors are made. So LRPs are made by OS. Nova Rossi are made by Nova Rossi. Okay, and Reds are Pico based motors. So there you have it. Okay, this is fact. This is coming from a guy that worked probably around 10 years, or I don't know, he worked a long time for Pico, and he obviously knows other manufacturers and who does what. So, you know, I think his information, I don't think he's bullshitting or just made that up. But it is what it is. So your LRP is an OS motor, which means it's Asian. It's made in China, Japan, wherever. You know your Nova Rossis, they're made by Nova Rossi, they're Italian. OS's, they're made by OS. Picos are made by Pico. Okay? Reds? Well, the Reds is basically Mario goes to Pico, and these are made from Pico because they're Italian. So I know Mario's not going to go get a Chinese motor, and you know he's Italian, and make his motors. So those are the 3 main motor makers: OS, Pico, and Nova Rossi. Nobody else makes. I mean, other people make motors, but those are the main ones that people get their motors made from. So that had a lot to do with, you know, this company. The reason and they're a couple bucks more to get motors modded, not much. But these are the motors that I will be sending to him soon here, that I have decided. Obviously, the LRP .32 is going to get modded from him. The Nova Rossi Rex Legend 28.8, I'm getting another one modded, yes. Does that surprise you guys? You know I love this motor, so why not get another one modded? Matter of fact, I'm going to buy another one. I'm not going to get this one modded. This one's already modded. So I have a couple Nova. I'd like to have a couple of these stock and a couple modded. That's just me. And the OS XR Max, this .21, is also going to get modded. Now I might get one more modded. More than likely will be the one. Depends when I get it. When I get that OS or that Dynamite 086 pipe that comes with that .21 motor. I forgot what kind it is, but I'll get it modded too. I might send all 4 of them, but more than likely, I'm probably, you know, gonna just send. These are the 3 motors that I'm gonna get modded next. And the reason I wanted to get another Nova Rossi 28.8 is because when I get a Nova Rossi back modded from the same company, the same person, and the LRP .32, I want to pit these against each other. I want to break them in together, run them together. I want to compare a modified LRP .32 modded, full mod, and I'm getting a drag mod, not just regular mod. I mean full mod. I told him I want this thing to scream so it almost blows up. So I want to compare it to see what the big difference is or how much difference is in between. And he was telling me that and I agree, because I've ran all these motors stock. Now the one thing that I do, and it's just a suggestion, when I get a motor before I mod it, I break it in myself. This one I don't have to do because I've broken in plenty of these and I've ran them stock, and I still, you know, have them stock. So I don't need to do, I already know what this motor does and how it performs. This one here, I know what it does now too, because I broke this one up. I break it in, run a quarter, 20% through it, and then I touch it 30%, maybe a tank or two, and then that's it. it's still fresh, still brand new, then I send it in, because then I know, you know, how it performs stock, so I know what to tell him. Hey, this is what this thing lacks. And he was telling me, and I agree, the LRP .32, the difference between these two motors here, stock, even, or modded, is this one has no top end. The LRP .32 has 0 top end. Not at all. You can put an end bleed on it, you can do whatever. The 28.8 Rex Legend has tons of top end. And I remember John explaining, 7 port is what these are, 8 port is what the Rex is. And that's the difference in the porting. John was saying on one of his videos, if you guys find it, I don't know which video it is, that the 8 port keeps going. It doesn't drop off top end. Plenty of top end. This thing will scream forever. The LRP .2 doesn't. It drops off at the end. But it has a lot of punch, a lot of mid. It has, you know, a lot of torque, but it doesn't have any top end. This does. So it depends what you want. Great motor still. So yeah, these are the motors that I'm going to compare when I get them back. I'll obviously compare this .21 once it's modded to, you know, the only other modded .21 I have, which is the Reds. And I love this motor. This motor screams. This motor is nasty. This thing has torque. It's a long stroke, so it's got a lot of top end. I mean, it's a great motor. I'm trying to see. I might get another one of these. I like them so much. And if I can get it the price, because I'm not going to spend $300 or $400 on a Reds. But I've seen them, you know, under $300, and I would spend that on it and get it modded. So those are the motors that are getting modded. I am going to get. So that's all I want to talk about is, you know, I mean, one of the things I want to talk about is just do your homework, man. Those are the people that are modding. If I can't talk to them, I'm not going to get my motor modded through them. You know, it's one, like I said, one of the big reasons that I went through RV Mods and Rick, because he's real personable. You can talk to him. I'm not saying the other ones are, but I just can't contact them in any way, and I'm not going to email people back and forth. That just doesn't work for me. So I got enough emailing and bullshit to deal with, you know, with ordering shit like I do. And if you guys, unless you have a track day hobby or like John Bodegel does, and if you don't have a laptop, man, you better get with the program, because this is how you get your nitro shit. Like I said, unless you have that type of hobby shop that carries all your nitro stuff. I mean, I got a set of tools coming, servos coming. I'm gonna it's time to, every once in a while you want to go through all your bearings. Not just clean them and re-oil them, but you got to replace them if you want your shit to run right. You know, so I'm getting some more a new set of shocks for the Mugen buggy. I'm gonna update it with some. These are Soar that are by Mugen. Basically, Soar is the AMG, the M series, what BMW is. They're the next level of that company. So these are like the upper echelon of Mugen, like the good, really good Mugen. I mean, Mugen's good, but Soar is just another subsidiary of Mugen. But you know, it's $50 for 4 of them. They're not brand new, but I don't need brand new ones for my my buggy. I just need to, you know, I want to update those ones that are on there. You know, I've got another body. I've decided I'm going to get a new body, the next body that you'll be seeing me do one of my crazy paint jobs, superheroes or whatever, will be for the MBX, the Mugen MBX 7 TR Truggy. This is just the body that came with it. It's going to be my bash beater body, but I'm going to get a JC Concepts, because these bodies, by the way, if you guys are looking for a good durable body that's going to last, man, get a JC Concept. Compared to the Pro line, it's like probably a millimeter thicker. So I found one that I'm going to get for a new one for the Mugen. I'm going to get another one of these radios. If you want a bang for your buck, if you don't want to spend $800 on a frickin' Futaba, if you got $800 or $500 or whatever, but for $150 or less for one of these, FlySky FS IT4S, which is, you know, one that I have, Man, I recommend this. I love this radio. I mean, it's not the heavy dutyest radio, but you know, I'm not racing, man. I love that sound. It makes like a car sound. But it's, I mean, it's a colored screen, man. You're paying $400 something for a Futaba 4P, and it's just black and white. You know, I mean, I'm sure it's, I know it's a better radio, the Futaba obviously, but man, this works. I've never had an issue with it. And watching you turn it off. Special effects. That's worth $130. No, I'm just kidding. But I like this because it comes with all the telemetry sensors. You know, if you want to check your if you want to put a speedometer on your shit, it's got a temperature telemetry sensor. It's got a bunch of sensors that comes with it. I paid $130 on eBay, brand new. For that, I'm gonna get me another one of those. I like them. So that's what's going on with those. And there's a guy that just subscribed, new subscriber by the way, welcome, Savage Addict. Now he has recently did a video I watched. Now I know most people know, but just in case you're new or you don't know, and like I said, you got experience, and he did himself. When you get an LRP .32, if you're not going to mod it or whatever, which I recommend that you do mod it, you remember, but even if you don't mod it, you got to change the carburetor. These carburetors are garbage. These are shit. One of the worst carburetors ever, and trust me, I ran it, I tried to tune it, I even took this carburetor apart, I you know, polished it out, the slide in it, everything. It's still a piece of shit. It just won't tune. Either it leaks, the sealing on it, something in this carburetor. And this is the newest one that the LRP came out with. This thing's still a piece of shit. You got to spend $100, unfortunately, if you get one of these. So you're paying $200. You're gonna have to spend another $100 to get one of these real carburetors right here that actually work. Okay, the Novorossi carburetor, hands down, is the best carburetor on the market. Period. End of story. No questions about it. Okay, I'm going to see if I can run this carburetor on all of my motors, because this one is the easiest, stays in tune, isn't finicky, idles, runs like a champ. Man, the carburetor on these things are money. Okay, so you know, if you want the LRP 32, you know, the new 32s, you got to get rid of that carburetor. These X-Techs are garbage. Okay, if you want, you can get the Kyosho MP9s, whatever. It's the .25 Kyosho motors that come on a lot of their RTRs. It's like $12, $15. The carburetor fits perfectly. You don't have to do nothing to it on the LRP. And it doesn't run like, you know, nothing does, but it doesn't run like the Novorossi. But when I put this carburetor, after I got done breaking it in, and before I, you know, stopped breaking it in, because I decided, you know, because I'm going to get it modified, this carburetor tuned way better than this piece of shit. So if you don't have the $100, $15, eBay, just look Kyosho MP9 carburetor. Make sure it's the one for the .25. I don't know the part number, I don't have it on hand, but if you need it, I can get it to you. But this carburetor, I ran it on here, man, and it was night and day. When I took this piece of shit off and I ran this carburetor, I actually was able to tune it, got a good idle on it. Now it's, like I said, it's still not as good as you know, as the Novorossi one, but it worked way better than this piece of shit. So, but you got to put a Novorossi carburetor on it, because it's, you know, it is what it is. So, for that guy, Mr. Savage Addict, get rid of that piece of shit carb. Find you, I don't know if you're going to be able to find the carburetors like this that don't have the mid needle, because all the new Novorossi carburetors that are out there that I've seen, and that are on the .28s, they're all the 3 needle now, which, as long as you don't touch it, just don't touch the mid needle. If you get one with a mid needle, leave it alone. If you touch it, unless you know what you're doing, you're gonna jack it all up. Leave it alone and just tune it by the low end and the top end, and you're fine. It's great. I mean, I put it in, that carburetor is actually in the stock 28.8, and I never touched it. And this thing idles like a freaking purrs like a kitten, man. You know, so anyway. Alright, people, that's another long-winded video by the Muggy Maniac. So, you know, FYI, man, do your homework. You know, don't just go by what one person says, or, you know, get a second, third, fourth opinion. Don't go by even what I say. I don't know everything. I'm not law in Nitro. I just know from my 4 years, come on, 4 years experience in this, I'm learning, I should say, what works and what doesn't work, and why you want to make sure you do research. I do research. So, you know, this is not just the Nitro Cave. This is the Muggy Maniac's laboratory. You know, this is maybe I should change my name to the Mad Nitro Scientist, Crazy Mad Nitro Scientist. So here we go, man. The ducks are lined up. Big, medium, small. I need to get another body for this. Now I found a Proline makes a little fit on here. It's about the same size. Baja, buggy, looks pretty cool. I might do that. You know, just so I have a second body. I don't really want, this one's still okay, but I don't want to really destroy this, you know, anymore, or beat it up anymore, because they don't make it, you know, they don't make that body or this platform. So I got pipes, like I said, I got oh yeah, I almost forgot, the pipe that I was talking about. There's a pipe that the guy that I talked to that worked for Pico, again, that's RC Renew Mods, he said, comparing this pipe to the end bleed, it's $100 for the pipe. It's by a company called Triton. Some of you guys that run .21s have probably heard of it, because Triton makes .21 motors. But this is the pipe. It's a Triton. There's the part number there's a pipe 2148. Okay. This pipe, he was saying, is phenomenal, because it has tons of bottom end, tons of mid, tons of top. The power band on this pipe all the way through is unbelievable. It's got the top end of a 053 Dynamite, and it screams like an end bleed, and it's got the bottom of an 086 or a 9986. So I am going to get one of these. And like I said, you know, is what he's saying true? I don't know. That's what he told me. You know, he has experience, and I mean, he should know doing what he does, but I got to experience it myself. So it's $100. I'm going to get me one of these and see what it does to my modded motors. He said you'll love it, man. So, alright. I'll try anything once. So anyway, that's what's going on with the Muggy Maniac. So I gotta get ready to I gotta get to bed. I gotta get up early. Gotta go to work early. Gotta go make that cheddar. Muggy Maniac's gonna be dropping some serious quan here in the next couple weeks. Motors getting modded, as you see. Pipes coming down the pipeline. You know, upgrades to my platforms. You know, more rims, more tires, more tools. You know, more servos. All the goodies, man. You know, so, yeah, never know. There might be a little bit of unboxing. You guys seen my past videos and heard me. I'm not the unboxer. You know, unless it's worth unboxing. So anyway, that's what's going on in the Muggy Cave. If you guys, anybody might have Mugans out there, have you ever seen these on the Mugen back hub carriers? These two holes, they're for Europeans, what they do, because they race and run in the mud. You make, or I don't know if they make them, these little, you put flaps on the back of these, and what these things do is, while the tire's turning, it keeps all the mud and shit from building up in your rim. I was always wondering, what the hell are those holes for? Well, that's what they were there, and I'm custom making some little flaps, little pieces to go on here, so when I do run it and muddy and shit gets in the rims, it's not going to get built up, and that weighs down on your whip, so it'll keep all that shit scraped off. Oh, that's pretty badass. So anyway, that's only if you have a Mugen. I don't know if they're on any other vehicles. I haven't seen them, but anyway, that's it, people. So not tomorrow, but more than likely this weekend, we will be getting the Pico out there, and it'll probably still be muddy and wet because it rained big time this week, but we're going to get this sucker dirty, get it nasty, filthy, and get the .28 modded .28 ripping. And then we're going to get back to the 28.8 Rex Legend. And then it's been a while. We're gonna rip the .21 Reds in the Mugen buggy. So, all right, for all you other guys that are retired and hibernating for the winter, and your stuff's shelf cleaning it and shelf bitching it, do your motor a favor. Make sure the piston's bottom dead center and you got some after run shit in there so you don't jack it up. All right, people. That's all in the Muggy Maniacs laboratory, Nitro Cave, whatever you want to call it. Peace, I'm out.